Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind. The topic today is training to be a modern originator, modern advisor, however you want to put it. There is a difference between a traditional LO that's transactional focused. Everybody leverages technology now, but some people leverage it better. And I do think when we define, which we're going to do over the first, let's just say 20 minutes of this call, we're going to define what is the modern mortgage originator. And then we're going to talk about how do you train? Like, what are the training habits of the best? Because one thing that I've noticed is that different people train at different frequencies, and different people train at different effectiveness. I am going to kick this call off with kind of a, I don't know, not bold, but I am convinced after interviewing many of America's top professionals, doing multiple site visits with Quicken last year. I'm in the process right now of training the #1 loan officer in America. That's team does over 3,000 loans a year, or at least this year. That training is why these people are so great. Like when I went to Quicken, going into that on-site with Quicken, I knew that they had good technology. I knew that they had good marketing, and a lot of people will say, oh, they're a marketing company that does mortgages. Oh, they're a technology company that does mortgages. But after being on site with them multiple times, I'm like, this is a training organization. You know, the way they train people, the resources that they put in place to not only train people, but then to make sure that they're accountable to doing things a certain way. It's like they're the biggest mortgage company in the country because they're the best and biggest training organization in America. So I want to talk about modern and training. What are those two things and how are we going to do it? So as the wingman today and co-host of the call, we have Todd Bookspan. What's up, Todd?
Hey, not much. You know, I couldn't agree more, Dave. I think it's so important. It's one of the things that I learned early on, and sort of what led to Win by Noon is I did a 15-minute call every day with my team, and they reported their numbers. So they reported in, you know, the calls and the conversations and leads and apps and closings and all that stuff. And then it was a training call. It was just so critical. So it's just so funny to hear you talk about that and realize that I actually did something right back when I was doing that.
Well, but it's what the best people do. You know, when I was talking about a week or two with the #1 loan officer in America, and he's like, I want to adopt Mortgage Coach. You know, we need to start using this thing. I've seen enough people do it. I'm going to do it. And I had asked him, you know, it's kind of like, I know you're also the busiest loan officer in America. How, you know, do you do a weekly meeting? You know, how do you currently train your people? And he's like, oh, it'll be easy because we train every day. Like at least 15 to 20 minutes for training, scripts, objection handling, new technology, new processes every day. And I was like, wow, you know, that's interesting. And that made me think of training to be a modern originator, because Todd and I are passionate about that. Obviously, Mortgage Coach is a component. It's a spoke on the wheel of the modern mortgage originator, but that's a much bigger thing. That's why we did the Modern Mortgage Summit, which, by the way, guys, as of this week, it's available to buy the 365 pass. So anybody that wants to have the Modern Mortgage Summit content for an entire year, that is something you can just go to modernmortgagesummit.com. And if you don't already have it, you can buy the 1-year pass. And that's another reason why I'm doing this call is I want that content in the Modern Mortgage Summit to be valuable to the industry and to be valuable to our community as a training tool all year long. So I did an interview with Shayla Gifford on Monday, and Shayla was sharing, hey, what are her training rhythms and management rhythms, and how is she using the Modern Mortgage Summit all year long? So check out that interview. So today we've got some of America's most successful modern originator. We've got Ryan Grant. And Ryan, are you good to go for the whole call, or do we need to get you in and get you out of here quick? You're on mute, Ryan.
Thank you for that. I'm good. I can stay for the hour.
Cool. And yeah. Dan Keller, are you good to go, or do you got to jump in and jump out?
I'm great. I'm using this as training for myself as well. So I'm here.
Right on, brother. Thank you for making time today. And
got it.
Michelle Castle, are you good to go, or you got to jump in and jump out?
You've got me the full hour.
All right. Well, then we're going to start with Kelly Zitlow, because Kelly, and And guys, I just threw this at everybody a couple days ago. Hey, can you come in and spend an hour with us from 9 to 10? And Kelly has about 15-ish minutes. So we're going to start with Kelly Zitlow. What's up, Kelly?
Hey, how are ya?
Good. I'm doing good. And guys, Kelly was the only one that made the flight to go out and present live at the Modern Mortgage Summit. So Kelly, this is the first time I've seen your face since then. Thank you so much for doing that. You were awesome.
My pleasure.
And I would say this too. It was so fun to have her energy. Your energy was great in that room. It was a long day to have Kelly there firing us up.
It was great to be there. It was really so. Can't wait for the next one.
Well, Kelly, my goal at the end of this call, while we may not be done defining the Modern Mortgage Summit, we're going to have enough content and enough perspectives that Win by Noon is going to create some training tools. How we launch and roll out the Modern Mortgage Summit will be influenced by this call. So before I show some of the things that we've prepared, what to you, like when someone says, what is a modern mortgage professional? What does that mean to you? And then what are some of the skills and habits that modern originators have that, let's just say, traditional transactional loan officers don't have?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it kind of starts with finding the difference between a transactional mindset and a relational mindset. So from a transactional mindset, it's all about what we get, right? So if we're in that mindset, it's what we get. But when we flip that and we go to a relational mindset, it's what we give. So I would contend that a modern loan officer thinks that way. They are in relationships, and what can we give to our business partners, and what can we give to each other, and what can we give to our clients? And once you make that shift, then everything you do, all of your actions are built around that, are built around your practice is built around giving. And that's, in our world, generally giving information, right? Giving guidance, giving knowledge. And then the way to do that, old school was this fee worksheet. Well, new school is using technology. And so using Mortgage Coach, using video to update and to educate. I think that we have such a responsibility because we take for granted how much we know in here. And if you're not giving that, sharing that to your community, it's just such a big myth, So doing that, doing that through Mortgage, doing that if you have a team, train your team. Every single day we meet, every single morning, 9:30. Some days it's 15 minutes, some days it's 30 minutes, some days it's 25 minutes. We have an agenda built out every single day of the week. So the agenda is printed, it's on in front of everybody's seat at the table. So we know exactly what we're about. And then we have certain theme days that we talk to role play. We talk about catering. How are we catering? What can we change? What can we do? That's really the foundation of my business and how I've grown it.
I love that. So what you talked about video, and one of the things I'm trying to do is come up with what are the life wheel that you guys use at the core for life planning, and a lot of coaching programs use that life wheel. I mean, that is something that I think is core and important. One of the things that Todd and I want to do at Win by Noon is we want to create a modern mortgage originator life wheel, the wheel. So it's like, what are the components? And so what, just shooting from the hip, and there's no right answer. I mean, I've got a start to this, but what are some of the things that would be on that wheel of a modern mortgage originator in your mind?
Training. If you have a team, it's training. If you don't have a team, it's personal training. It's development, right? So that would be one thing for me. Without a doubt, it changed my life. It changed my business. It changes my ability to impact, educate, and important to me because it allows me to give information. Mortgage Coach, Dave, I don't know how many years you hounded me. Like I kept saying, I'm too busy, I can't do it. Right. And then finally I did it. Now I'm like, I could never not do it, right? Because it fits so well with what I believe, which is how else can we show people if you're doing a refinance and you're saving $400 a month, and then you show them what happens if you just apply that $400 a month towards their principal as opposed to putting the cash in their pocket. I mean, it's so cool to be able to do that. So many different ways we all use Mortgage Coach, but definitely Mortgage Coach has got to be a spoke on the wheel.
Yeah. Well, let me show you a spoke that we started. And Dan, Michelle, I'll be thinking about this. We're going to come to you in a minute. The goal is that we're going to have this wheel and we're going to have these spokes. This is just, literally something we threw together in 24 hours. So it's going to look a lot different than this when it comes out. But this is where we started. We put leadership as the North Star because we believe that that's where it all starts. When I think of Mortgage Coach, where it says advice, Mortgage Coach is a spoke on the wheel of being a great advisor. Kelly, you noticed that video is there. You talked about how video it's no longer an option, and we agree. Like I don't think you are not a well-rounded, kick-ass modern originator if you're not doing video. You may be like 80% of the way there. You may be 50% of the way there. But if you're not doing video, you're not 100% of the way there. Same thing with Mortgage Coach. You may be a kick-ass, almost modern originator, but if you're not giving a link versus a fee worksheet, you're not all the way there. What do you think of these spokes on the wheel, Kelly?
I like it. What do you mean about tracking though? What does that mean?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, think win by noon. But when we think of modern originators, they're tracking their activity. They're not unconscious about what they do. They're tracking their leads. They know their conversion. One thing I have seen through 2020 is I've seen a radical shift. If you're doing all these things, you are killing it. I mean, there's over 4,000 loan officers that have done over 300 loans this year. Guys, 2 years ago, the top 1%, if you did over 120 loans in a year. Now, obviously, COVID and low interest rates, this is not a normal year. But the point is, if you're tracking and you're using your CRM, you're modern. And if you're not, you're not. Anyways, does that answer the question?
Yep, it
Yeah,
does.
one thing I'd throw in there too is, Dave, when you went that first time to Quicken, the thing that you took away that you told me was one of your top takeaways was just that whole part, how they track their conversion rates. They track their, lead conversion, especially, that they're so numbers focused because they actually have the data. And I think that's where most loan officers fail, is they have that goal at the end of the year, but they don't really know what it's going to take to get there. And by, daily recording about your activities and tracking the results is the ultimate way to do it.
Without a doubt.
Well, Kelly, I know you got to jump soon, but knowing so we're going to do two things. We're going to define modern originator, and then we're going to talk about, okay, how do we train? So in a minute or two, and then leave when you need to leave. What is a modern originator? What does that training rhythm look like? How often? What does it look like from your perspective?
Every day. I mean, when I'm at the gym or I'm getting ready in the morning, I'm listening to Mortgage Coach. I'm listening to something. I'm listening to support. I'm always just pouring into my brain to be able to process and figure out what can I do to get better. So that's just
How much
a
time? How much
choice.
time daily? I want to define this. Like, how much time a day do you spend in consuming, listening, reading, collecting data? How much time do you spend?
I would say 15 to 30 minutes every day. I'm pouring into my brain.
Okay.
Just me.
So you're consuming, and then I think training is doing. It's listening, learning, and it's doing. So wrap up your training rhythm. And then as a leader, because you're a coach to other people, you get coached, you mentor a team. Just give us a minute on, listen, learn, and do, and what your training rhythms are.
So when I'm listening, learning, I'm just writing notes, and then I take it back to the team and my assistant, and then that's how we implement and take action. So if I hear something, just the Modern Mortgage Summit itself, I have so many notes on there, and I just am rolling them into the team. Okay, guys, I want to do this with Mortgage Coach. I want to take a peek at this person talking in the summit. This was amazing. Let's chunk that down and get into it. What I've noticed about me though is I can't bring 1,000 things team. Otherwise they're like, oh my God, stop. So I just do it in baby steps, and we just do it every single day. I'm just writing notes, and then I'll take 1 or 2 things per week to the team to implement.
Love, love, love that. So guys, one of the things we're going to show, and if you listen to the interview I did with Shayla Gifford, it's consuming, it's doing, and then it's leadership. So I am going to push everybody, at least weekly. The best of the best do it daily. They're always training. And then I also think in this modern world, we're all on Zoom now. So we got to get good at meeting with our team on Zoom, listening and learning together as a team. When you hear that interview I did with Shayla Gifford, I showed a little hack, and I want to show you this real quick, Kelly, before you go, where you can actually share videos and listen to videos with your team. So guys, if you did not know this, when you go to share your screen, instead of saying share a screen, share a specific video. So like the Modern Mortgage Summit, you could take a specific video, click on it, make sure you click on share sound and optimize screen for video clip. And then when you share that, it's using their speakers on their desktop and you can all hear it together. So I want to push everybody in our community to learn more intentionally. I mean, the best of the best are doing this. You're listening, you're taking notes, but guys, our teams aren't necessarily doing that. Like how often they listen isn't what we want it to be. How well they're listening isn't what we want it to be. How well they're taking action on what we learned together isn't necessarily what we want it to be. So as leaders, we need to, and guys, we're going to be in this COVID. Well, we're now in a lockdown here in Oregon, and California just went into lockdown, but we're talking for a long time now. We're going to be in this. So we got to use Zoom. We got to listen and consume really strategically and really quality. And then we need to do. So guys, you can also do that with the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. And guys, you could do that with any video. You could, whether it's a website, whether it's a video, you can listen with your team, pause. Guys, I want to make sure you took this, listen, pause. Here's the homework assignment. So I want to push that message. Kelly, we got a lot of folks on the call, so we focused on you here in the first 20 minutes, but you can leave whenever you need to. And thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys. So, hey, I think we've set the table. Everybody knows what the topic is. Ryan Grant, let's go next with you. And then Michelle will go with you. And then Dan, you'll be the anchor guy. So Ryan, what are your thoughts, first of all, on this, how to strategically listen to content? What are your thoughts on that? Is that something you're already doing, or do you think that's a good idea? You're on mute, Ryan.
There we go.
By the way, guys, a modern mortgage originator knows how to control their mute too. And
I think I need to be a modern technologist.
I'm having fun with you, bro.
No, I know. Yeah, I think that, listening to all the Mortgage Coach videos that you do, all the stuff that's free, that's available, right? I think we all should be learning from each other. And for me, the best people that I've always learned from have been the executors, right? The people who are doing it right now. I mean, it's great to hear someone tell you how to, get with a realtor partner, how to have a better conversion. But unless they're doing it every day, it just seems to miss a little bit of something. So the fact that you're interviewing high-level operators on a daily basis, everybody should be taking advantage of that 100%. And don't just listen. I mean, obviously get it in when you can, but the best thing to do is listen with a notepad, right? Or listen with what you're going to take away. Because if you just listen to something, you're going to find 5 or 6 things that you love and want to do and implement. But if you're doing it while you're working out or something else, unless you have a way to maybe stop it, send yourself a quick email with what you want to do there, whatever you can, just make sure you're actually building a list of what you want to accomplish as you're learning. And then as you do that, continue to move around the priority of what you want to implement there. But I think that's hugely important.
Cool. And I want to make sure, I think you don't need any introduction, but just in case anyone doesn't know the kind of volume you're doing, the type of leadership platform that you have, just share real quick. What's the Ryan Grant team do? And then, the region that you lead and the number of people that you lead, just share a little bit about that for anyone who doesn't know.
Sure. My team will help a little over 420 families this year for about 260 million. And then the group that I oversee will do about 1.4 billion this year. And it's about 20 loan officers that will do that. We also run the Art of Homeownership Platform, and we believe that is a large part of what being a modern mortgage originator is that's what my team's value proposition is. That's what all of the originators in our region run off of, and it's basically changing the mortgage industry from what it used to be to what we know it can be, which is not just helping someone with a mortgage and not just doing that well, but actually committing to someone to help them grow their wealth, plan for future real estate goals, save money, and having an actual system in place that does that. Because there's a lot of people that talk about it, but very few that actually do it. So that's what we're really excited about, is changing the mortgage industry so the consumer demands a higher level of value, not just during the transaction, but for the next 30 plus years. And we think that we're well equipped to do that.
Right on. And guys, Kelly Zitlow, who had a jump, has, her team has done over 450 loans. So, I mean, we're talking about super successful, high performing teams. And you're hearing, like, it's always the same thing. Every time I talk to someone that closes over 100 loans consistently a year in any marketplace, they're always learning, they're always training, and they're always getting better. And nowadays, it's 2020, they're all trying to become modern originators. So Ryan, what about the spokes on the wheel that I showed a minute ago? I'll pull them up again real quick.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Did we get it right? Do you have any questions on this, or do you have anything to add or subtract to this?
Yeah, I think it's a great start. We've actually come up with kind of a ranking scale for what we believe different levels of mortgage professionals are. A lot of it is in line with what you have, right? So, one of the first ones is mastery and total awareness of your numbers or metrics.
So that's
kind of
tracking.
You're
Got
tracking, right? And so knowing where your business comes from, what it costs you, like actually operating like a business, right? Most originators wake up, they do their loans at the end of the year. As long as they had a good number, it was a successful year. But if you really started to drill down into how much did it cost per lead, cost per transaction, what was your retention rate, what was your, all the real metrics that a normal company would know on like the back of their hand, a lot of those are oftentimes missed, right? And a big part of that is correlating it with your CRM, right? So we're using a platform called Daily AI, which is just this phenomenal, really high level, intelligent CRM that helps you run your business at a high level. So not only using your CRM for fulfillment of loans, for post-closing retention, for generation of new business and incubation of your current business, but it's actually really getting a high level understanding of what your numbers are, where you need to focus, because we all can get better. We just don't know where we need to get better if we can't track where some of our deficiencies might be.
Makes sense. Anything else come to mind, that either a question you have about what I just showed, or something that's missing? And by the way, just a note for Todd, we might want to change that to tracking and measuring.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good add. And guys, that's what this call is for. Like we didn't create this in a vacuum. Todd and I have interviewed a few folks. We know what people do, and we've gotten some feedback from folks. But is there anything that you have a question about here, or anything that you would change or do differently?
I would definitely put value proposition on here somewhere, because I think the modern mortgage originator can stand firmly apart from anybody else, right? Kind of a blue ocean strategy. My favorite thing to do is ask originators why you, because very often they can't answer that question without saying customer service, speed, interest rate, fulfillment, committing to closing the transaction, which are all very much just table stakes in today's modern mortgage world, right? I mean, if you're not doing those things, you shouldn't even have a license, right? So without saying service, commitment, speed, all those other things, why would a customer choose you when we all know that cheaper options are always going to be available? No one of us are ever going to be the cheapest. So if you can't, if someone's going to sit across from you and say, Dave, I have 3 other options, I have a couple lower interest rates, I have a bank that's trying to get my business, why would I use you? And if you don't relish in answering that question, and if you're not like foaming at the mouth to be like, finally, I can't wait that, I'm glad that you asked, because not only do you fundamentally know why you're different, but you fully believe in your core that you're going to add more value to that client's life for the next 30 years than any other originator that they could potentially work with. If you don't have that like deep in your bones, it's going to be hard for you to compete in a world where margin compression will become a real thing again.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Now, in my mind, that could have fit under personal brand and social media. Like when we first created that, we just had social media. And then it started like, well, you can't just have social media, have social media. You have to have social media because you're telling a story, you're building a personal brand. But who knows? There's an argument that we call that value prop in social media and not personal brand.
Yeah.
And there's an argument to say that it's another spoke on the wheel. Anything else? Do you have a question about any of these other spokes on the wheel, or an idea to insert here?
I think diversification. Diversification is kind of a two-part play, right? So not only do you want to diversify your business sources, I think a lot of originators are so tied into realtors and maybe database, right? So that's probably makes up 80 to 90% of their business between past and current client referrals and realtor referrals. But there's 7 pillars of lead generation that if you're too tied into one channel, as the market shifts and as the industry changes, you might be caught up in a tough spot. So not only diversifying where your business comes from all 7 pillars, but also the demographic and geographic makeup of your business, right? So if you're solely focused in your one town, there's a lot of things that could happen geopolitically. There's a lot of things that can happen socioeconomically that could impact your one area. It could be natural disaster. It could be a lot of things, right? So diversifying where you're helping your families and the communities that you're serving and where the business is coming from, I think is a really key component of what someone who wants to do this well for the next 20 years needs to have a grasp on.
Love that. And guys, when we did the definition, we did a keynote on what's the definition of a modern mortgage originator, which continues to evolve. This is a evolving of this conversation, but when we put here's the tech, and guys, we just put 4 techs. There's a lot more than 4. We put 4 strategies, but the one where it says get to the customer first, I think is kind of speaking to what you just said, Ryan, but I think we could add more to that. So
well, not only that, but getting to the customer before they know they're a customer. Like
good point.
When people think get to the customer first, they always think, if Dan Keller is sitting in his house thinking maybe I should buy, sell, or refinance a home, he has to expose himself to our industry by going online and putting his information somewhere. And then we think, okay, now we got to get to him first. When in reality, we should get to him before he goes online, right? But we have to have an offering to be able to do that. And right now we don't, right? Now we only offer mortgages. So unless he wants a mortgage, we don't really have a way to adopt him as a client. We don't have a way to attract him. We don't have much value to give to him, right? So we have that now, and we can give that to him now. So we can get to him before he gets online. And so we can adopt thousands or hundreds of thousands of clients before they expose themselves to the rest of our competitors. And then having to have that kind of dogfight, which I think is wildly important if we want to really stay relevant in this business.
Yeah, well, heck, we could do you and I have done calls on this, and this is one of the problems you're solving with the Art of Homeownership. This is one of the problems that companies like HomeBot are solving. When you automate an annual review with Mortgage Coach, and those are all things like if you're not doing annual reviews and using technology with Mortgage Coach, guys, you're not a modern originator at 100%. And that's the other thing I want to say is and it's okay, guys. You're not all supposed to be at 100% right now. It's not like, oh, you're not at 100% modern originator. You're blowing it. You're killing it. We're doing great. But by the end of 2021, I'm going to make the position. If you're in this Mortgage Coach community, you want to be you and the people that you serve, you want to be at 100%. There's just the technology is here. The training is here. The resources that Mortgage Coach creates, that the Modern Mortgage Summit has, that Win by Noon has, that other companies, we don't have everybody on today's call. You got the tools, you got the technology, and you got Zoom, you can play videos together. You got learning management systems. You're here. So let's bring in another audience. Let's bring in Michelle Castle. And Michelle, first of all, anything you want to add to what Ryan said, or anything you want to say on your own?
No, other than, whenever what Ryan's talking about is so true. It doesn't matter what your team size is. It could be a team size of you, but we're running a business and we have to think of ourselves that way. So with the tools and the technology that is available, it can sometimes get overwhelming. But you've got to figure out what your way of doing business is. What is your value prop? What is your process and systems going to be? Where are you going to go for training? How are you going to utilize training? I mean, all of those are things that we've got to stop the crazy chaos part of our business and really put together a plan so that you can be a modern day loan advisor. So, I mean, it can get overwhelming, but it's just what we do. We are in the business of running a business. We don't just do loans.
And Michelle, what kind of volume are you and your team doing? And I know you do coaching, just share everybody who you are and what you're doing.
This year, we'll help at least 450 families. It's laughable. I hear Ryan's volume numbers, and I'm in Texas. Our volume sizes are just so different. So hopefully, I mean, we're going to get really, really close to breaking $100 million, you guys, with 450 families. Yeah.
Well, it's all relative, and
it's all relative, and it's a lot of fun. Yep.
Yeah, and you're killing it. But guys, I mean, 450 families. She is a modern originator, and notice her brand. I mean, how she shows up, the background, the quality of the camera, her presence in a virtual environment. Look at Ryan. Do you think he's intentional about the background and the quality? Look at Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, you're a modern originator. If you are not intentional about how you're showing up virtually, you might be 50%, you might be 80%, but that's another thing, guys. Modern originators, they do video. They're intentional, they're quality, and we're always playing the wow game. How do we, meet with the consumer and for them to go, wow, I trust that person.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that person has my best interest in mind. Wow, that person is a professional. And guys, if you check all three of those boxes, you are going to have a great conversion rate. People will still shop you, but they'll want to do business with you. And there's not a lot of people that check all those boxes. Like, wow, this person has my best interest in mind. Wow, this person has extraordinary knowledge. Not every loan officer, in fact, most loan officers don't check those boxes at the beginning. So Michelle, any feedback you have about this, the spokes on the wheel of the modern mortgage originator? Because we really want to nail this. Like, coming out of this call, we wanted to have who we think are some of the industry's best modern originators. Anything you would add? Anything you have a question about here?
So when I'm looking at the transaction, my question is, do you mean processes and systems? I mean, what do you mean by transaction?
So I think the way a modern originator takes an application. For example, Josh Metal, when he takes an application, he has a hopes and dreams conversation with the client. He sends via text a link to download his app, to take an app. Mm-hmm. He puts on it a 15 to 1 minute video that the way he took an app, and then he has a team, and there's a way that, there's a consistent process with the way that he does the transaction. Also, there's alerts. You're finding some loan officers that take an app really effectively in a very personalized way. And then, throughout the transaction, there's automated alerts that are going to the client. Think if you ordered something on Uber Eats, you clicked a button, when the car started driving towards you, you're watching the car come, literally to the point where if you want to run out the street so the person doesn't have to get out of their car, you can go out like, hand it to me. That's now, again, the industry and the tech, we haven't completely Uberized yet, but that's where it's going. So that when we put transaction, we're taking today's technology, text, video, app link. There's a modern way to do that.
Yeah, so it reminds me whenever you were interviewing Shayla, she was talking about, you know, the chaos. I mean, so oftentimes we have so much chaos in our business, but it's the process and the systems that take away the chaos. And so that's what I thought you meant in that transaction. Um, so just, I'm assuming you're going to have some good definitions about what you mean whenever you're having that wheel, or maybe change some of the wording.
Well, this is why we're masterminding.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
when we roll it out, yeah, we're going to have to put some definition. We're going to have to put some questions that you ask yourself so you can kind of score yourself, just like life planning. So no, really good point.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to call it POS, point of sale.
Point
You
of
know, maybe
sale.
transaction isn't the right word to use. That's
Yeah.
why we're having a mastermind.
That's exactly. So yeah, I would encourage you change that word to, because we're trying to get away from using the word transaction in our relational business that we're trying to all run anyway. And then advice. What do you mean by advice?
So mortgage coach would be a component of advice.
Okay.
And, you know, average loan officers are transactional. You just ask, you know, enough questions to give you a rate and a quote. Whereas modern originators, what are your hopes, dreams? What are your goals?
Okay.
And then they're giving strategies and they're giving total cost analysis. So, but to your point, maybe advice isn't the right way to title it.
Yeah.
But that is the category that would include a
was the
TCA.
intention. Okay, cool. No, I love what you're doing. I think it's a great idea. We all have to stop and analyze our business, our personal life. It's just what we need to do. I do it on a quarterly basis because what you focus on is where you improve. And so if there is one area of your business, one area of your life that you're focusing on, I guarantee another area of your business is going to be compromised just a little bit because your focus is in a different direction, and it's hard. You're not going to find perfection. And so I love that you're doing that. I think that's great.
Cool. Well, let's bring in Mr. Dan Keller, and then we'll just round robin this thing. Audience, whether you're watching this on Facebook, whether you're watching this on Zoom, put your questions and comments. We will have time, and then this will not be I think maybe even next Friday, we'll keep this conversation going. We'll define some of this stuff. We want to help everybody go into 2021 with a great business plan. That's why we had Dan and Jeremy kick it off with how they're doing their business planning. We had Josh Mill and Tim Rahim this Tuesday. Next week, we've got Bill Hart sharing what he's doing with Keith Collins. But we want you to have good business plans. And we also want you to have here's my plan, and here's how I'm going to train myself and the people that I lead to be modern originators. So,
hey, Dave,
Dan.
go
ahead.
Can I share
Yeah.
one? There was one thing that I heard this morning that I just thought of while we were listening to everybody talk. And this was what Isaac Stegman was saying on a Facebook Live this morning that I was listening to on my way to work. If you had a water bottle and there's nothing in the water bottle, with pressure from just a child squeezing that water bottle, it's going to change its shape. It's going to be crushed under that pressure. But if you have a water bottle that's full of water, you can squeeze, you can drop, you can throw. It's not going to change its shape. It's going to still stay that water bottle full of water if the lid's on tight. And what I was thinking while we were talking about all of this is growing and learning and stretching and all of the things that we do, whether you're dripping water into that water bottle or you've got that faucet on strong and you're pouring water into that water bottle, it doesn't matter how you feel the bottle. What matters is that the bottle stays full so that it doesn't crush under pressure.
That's awesome. I'd love to throw one other quick thing in before we let Dan jump in. This is the community, right? So anyone who has other suggestions for the wheel, put them in either Facebook down below, or if you're in Zoom, in the Zoom chat, we would love your opinion as well. I want to give a shout out to Deborah Bird with Plug and Play Social Media, who's helped with the graphic that you guys are seeing. So always want to make sure that we include her in there. And I think Dave, you hit the nail on the head, right? If you want to create all of this experience for your clients, you've got time to do it. That's why Dave has been pouring so much in getting people like Dan and Tim Brahim and Josh and Jeremy on these calls to do business planning, because that's how you take these ideas and execute on them.
Right on. Thank you, Todd. So, Mr. Keller, there's been a bit of dialogue. Well, first of all, make sure everybody knows the kind of volume that the Dan Keller team is doing right now, and the type of leadership role you have out there. What are you doing right now, brother?
Yeah, we're having a fun year. We're having a fun year. What I loved about Michelle is she said, she talked about her volume, and she's still talking about how fun it is, right? Versus how burnt out she is or how overwhelmed she is. We're having fun. This is great, and we're going to do what we can to kind of transition this into 2021. But as of right now, we are at about 389 units year to date. We're going to close the year hopefully right around the 450 mark, 440, 450. And that equates to about 190 million in volume. And I have a team of myself and 6 other loan partners. Just brought on an incredible loan officer into our branch for 2021. So slowly building our branch up here in Seattle, but having a great time.
So I think that also makes the case a modern mortgage originator teamwork. And I know, like, and I don't want to create this thing where if you don't have a team, you're not a modern mortgage originator at the highest level. I think you could not have a team. You could be closing 70 loans a year, just be yourself. But teamwork, you understand cover move, you understand leadership. So I do want to make sure we're not going to define a modern originator as I've got multiple team members and I'm doing over 100 loans a year. No, and by the way, you could be closing 50 loans a year. That's my goal. I'm working X number of hours a week. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I have life balance. But I also want to make sure people realize, like, Dan is closing, over 400 loans this year, has a team. The dude doesn't work more than 40 hours a week. He's a dad. He's got a wife that is an entrepreneur and a, Jenny Cookies, follow her on Instagram. She's an Instagram influencer. I watched a little bit of Baker and the Banker, the Baker and the Banker last night. So I like you and Jenny creating the Christmas crack. That was pretty cool. But Dan, what are your thoughts on this? Like, any questions on this? Anything that you think we need to add to this, or,
I absolutely love it. And I think you guys have set the framework to coach the community and to coach up and coming loan officers and loan officers that really truly want to be a modern mortgage advisor on how to do exactly that. I think, Ryan has a great blueprint for his business, and so does Michelle, and so does Kelly, and so does Jeremy. I think we all have our own color, if you will. And I think that's what makes each of us unique. And I think that's what makes this community so valuable. What I would say, and this is the other thing I love about this community and all your interviews, Todd and Dave, it's not, you bring on these top producers, and I want people to realize that this isn't how to be a top producer. This is how to be a great loan officer, how to be a great mortgage advisor, how to have a great business, like Michelle said. We have businesses, how to be a great business person. And so whether you are like I was 5 years ago, closing 40 to 50 million a year in production with one team member, or you're like I am now, and like everyone on the call is now, that has a big team and is trying to scale. That was each of our goals. And so that's what I love about this community. I think the framework's great. What I would add to this is just my color, my unique, how it looks with me and Dan Keller up here in Seattle. I have 5 components to being a modern mortgage originator. Number one, and this is exactly what Ryan just said, simplifying the mortgage process, simplifying it so that you can meet your customer where they want to be met. I have 60-year-old clients, 70-year-old clients that really do not want to text, that really do not want to even email, they have a hard time scanning. Okay, so we have systems in place to meet them where they are. I'm up here in Seattle. A lot of my clients are Google, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft employees that really value how I leverage Mortgage Coach and how I leverage text and how we have our online app. So I'm at a company, I'm blessed to be at a company that has embraced technology. Cybersecurity is really big in today's day and age. So having a secure upload portal for their documents is really big. So online app, text features, mobile capability, using video, using Mortgage Coach is really big. Number one. Number two, I think every modern originator, everyone that you've had on your interviews, Dave, really meets this feature. Number two, empathy. I think the future loan originator is going to be skilled in that category, being empathetic with your client. Okay, understanding the situation that they're in, understanding where they're at and where they're going. And I think a really great mortgage originator is almost like a junior financial planner. And that's kind of my goal in 2021, is to not give people trading advice or financial planning advice, but I'm going to be more of a financial educator, getting people to really think, okay, hey, the mortgages and real estate is this hub of my entire financial portfolio. Let's think of it that way. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about your 401k. Is it performing? Let's talk about certain things, and then hand them off to a financial professional that can really take them to the next level. I've been blessed to be a part of a coaching organization called The Core that really focuses on money, period. Rick Ruby comes right out up front. He says, my number one job is to make you a millionaire, teach you how to make $1 million, and then how to grow that. And so it's really become crystal clear as I've gone through that program, how important money management is and how important a mortgage ties into that. Number three, education. And this is one of my core principles. This is who I am. I'm an affiliate professor at the University of Washington. I'm a former college professor. I love teaching. I teach homebuyer classes. Prior to COVID, we taught a monthly homebuyer class since 2013 that had anywhere between 30 to 40 people attend every single month here in Seattle. And so education and knowledge is really big. Understanding that type of education and what your clients need to make a sound financial decision. I think it was Ryan or Michelle was talking about this, that understanding that the education is so important to this decision. If we can get that in front of the consumer before it's time, so they can plan for this financial decision, you're going to be more valuable, and it's going to separate you from the online lenders or your competition as we approach more mortgage compression. So number four, social proof.
Time out. Before you go to number four, you're also a high school baseball coach and a former college baseball coach. And I do think, Todd, we might want to make sure we weave that in, the coach, the teacher. And there's an argument to say that would fit under advice. But who knows? Maybe we should, instead of saying advice, we should say teacher, or we should say coach. I don't know. So anyways, keep going.
Part, right? Maybe on the leadership.
Yeah, and that's also, it's also leadership.
Yeah, maybe add it in there. I think that's great, a great sharpening. And I love that.
Yeah, we need to think about it. Anyways, number four, Dan.
Yeah, number four is social proof. I think the modern mortgage originator has a good online presence, meaning our clients are researching us whether we like it or not. When a realtor introduces us, they're looking us up. They're going to Google Dan Keller Mortgage, and what they find, this is what's crazy, you guys. What they find, we can control. Remember that. What the consumer finds when we're introduced, we can control. I was on stage at Sales Mastery in 2013 as a $34 million a year producer. I was not a top producer by any means, but I had a mortgage blog. I was doing video. I had a Yelp channel. And what I told everyone that attended when I was up on stage is I said, this is your opportunity to build out basically your LinkedIn or your resume, control it, embellish it however you'd like. But when someone looks you up, this is your opportunity to close them before you have to handle any of the objections about rate, about fees, about what's the difference between you and Bank of America, for example. And so social proof is so big. And that starts with where the eyeballs are at right now, Facebook and Instagram, YouTube and Google. And so making sure that you are starting to create content, just like the mortgage coach community, Dave and Todd create content daily, weekly. We need to be doing that as mortgage originators. And the modern mortgage originators are doing exactly that. And then number five, and I think you've touched on this, but it's sales leadership. And we need to be growing every single day, whether I'm at the gym, on a run, in my car. I always have a podcast in. We talked about this the other day. Dave, I'm a big believer in Brendan Bouchard and Ed Milet. Their podcasts are always going. They're always in my ears. I'm always plugging into your stuff. I listened to Shayla's interview the other day on leadership. And I'll tell you what, it's been crystal clear that I'm failing as a leader right now. After listening to what Shayla's doing, my buddy Robbie Sampson down in Florida, he's also in the core, telling he posted a Facebook Live the other day sharing what he does every single December with his team. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm not doing a fraction of that. Like these guys and gals are just crushing it from a leadership standpoint. And so I think in sales, you need to be upping your game. You need to be building a better you. It starts with you. And then two things relative to leadership. Your clients need to see your vision and see your mission in what you do. And so my mission, I know who I am. I want to help teach you to make a smart financial decision. I'm an educator, period. Every single one of my clients would say that. Dan taught me. I'm an educator. My vision, I know where I'm going. My job as your mortgage professional is to help you come out the other half, the other side of this, whether it's 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, in a better financial position. And so if your clients can see that, they're going to look at you as a leader. They're going to allow you to lead them through this process versus what is your rate? What are your fees? Hey, I just found that, hey, this rate's a little bit lower. Can you match that? Your leader.
Wow, dude, this has been powerful. So guys, we got 8 minutes left. Before we do a round robin, I want to summarize a few things. I want to make sure everybody knows how to play a video with Zoom. I want to make sure you know how to use the Modern Mortgage Summit. Todd and I are going to be working hard to create more resources to, one, help you make score. So we're going to come up with questions. We're going to formalize this modern originator wheel. We're going to create more resources through Win by Noon, Mortgage Coach, and the Modern Mortgage Summit. So first of all, I want to share on my screen. Now, when I share my screen this time, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it like I showed you earlier, where I'm going to click. I'm going to show it. I'm going to show Chrome, because that's the browser where the video is. If it was just a video on my desktop, I'd pick that video. I'm going to check share computer sound. I'm going to click optimize video. And right now, this is one of the most important videos of the Modern Mortgage Summit. Now, there was 29 leaders that accounted for over 1.4 or 4.1 billion in production as of that date. That group is probably over 5 billion now. But check this out. When I play this video now, it's going to come up a little different for you.
So now our next keynote is somebody that we both love and adore so much.
Yes.
The one and only Denise.
You can get a box of 10 of them on Amazon. What I did is
So how'd that sound, guys? Was that like you were playing it on your own desktop?
Yeah.
Dave, when you were originally sharing that, the screen wasn't shared. So we couldn't see what you were doing there.
Just now you couldn't see it?
No, you shared the screen later.
Hang on, let me make sure I do it right. So can
There
you
you
see
go.
it now?
Now we can see your screen. There you go.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
I actually
Can you hear it and see it?
Because truth be
We can
told,
hear
I
and see
don't
it, but
wear glasses.
how did you get to? You said
And
like
every single video and photo that
maximize
I
video or
post
something
on
like that?
social media includes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So by the way, I can't show that because it's in Zoom, and Zoom doesn't let you see the behind the scenes tools. So, but this is what it looked like behind the scenes, guys. Like I took a screenshot of it, and when I was telling you what I was doing, this is what I was doing. Step one, clicking on, like I'd click share, the share feature in Zoom, but then before sharing my desktop, I'd pick the image, I'd check the boxes at the bottom, and then I would do that. And Zoom doesn't allow when I do a share for that to show up. Does that
There's
make
only
sense?
2 boxes, so it's not hard to get confused on which boxes you're sharing, right? Just to click the 2, but just make sure you collect the right image of which of your desktop items you want to share, so you don't share the wrong thing.
So any questions on that? So
No,
Todd, why don't you take over and kind of close out from a Win by Noon perspective, some of the tools that you created for the team, some of the ways they can take action while I get this cramp out of the back of my leg.
Is that what you got going on there?
Did you guys see me jump up? Yeah,
I
it's
saw you
cramp
jump
time.
up. I got a little nervous. I was like, all right, what's going on there? Let me just get rid of one thing. I'm going to just share one tool. I was going to show the business planning tool, but I'll get that up there. I've been teaching a lot of business planning classes. I've had 50 plus people on each one. and I've got requests for more. So just any of you who still want to see one of those, don't fret. There'll be some more coming up. Just go to winbynoon.com/calendar, and you can see upcoming as they get on there. But Dave and I created this other tool. It needs one little modification on it. If I can find it on my sharing, I don't know where it went. It's not there. Hang
All
on.
right.
One sec.
Hey, Keller, have you ever had a hamstring cramp?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Better in a chair than on the field. I would tell you that. Yeah.
It's been a while. Looks like I need to eat more bananas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what Todd's going to show right now, guys, is
Here it comes. Can you guys see it now?
we can.
So this is just the implementation tool that Dave and I wanted to create coming out of the Modern Mortgage Summit. So I'll get this posted up in the group. It just needs one little change on here. But ultimately, if you heard Dave and Shayla's interview, she talked about how she scores ideas. So this is really the idea list. So as you watch a webinar like this, or you watch the Modern Mortgage Summit, you'll go through in the boxes, you'll see implementation speed on the top left. You'll see impact on business next to it. And so those are the two things you're going to score them on 1 to 10. Like, how fast can I implement this? If it's a 10 and then the impact on your business is a 10, your total's 20, that's obviously an idea you're going to want to get going really quick. If it's, the implementation speed's only a 5 because you got to count on other people to create content or do other things for you, but the impact on your business is a 10, right? You're only at a 15. You're probably going to want to implement the idea that's a 20 faster. And then just over on the right, kind of what are those big ideas you want to start on first, and just the first couple of steps to do it. Those steps could be delegation, by the way, but ultimately we'll put this tool up into the group for you guys to have. But it's just a great way to have somewhere to memorialize ideas as you have them, because as loan officers, we tend to have shiny object syndrome, where all of a sudden you heard, great, Art of Homeownership, you got to check it out. Of course you do. So write it on the list, right? And then that's one of your ideas. And if you heard Kelly say, okay, do video, great, put video on there. And if that's one of your ideas, and be looking at these different ideas as you go, and just, keep this on your desk, in the front of your notebook or your planner, whatever that is. And so as you have new ideas, you write them down, you have a repository for it all. So we'll get this shared up in the group here after the call so that you guys all have access to it. And can use it. And I'll also throw the business planning tool back up there. It's a great tool. I'll throw the real estate agent version there as well. It's a great free tool for you to also help your real estate agents be business planning this time of year.
And guys, if you haven't already signed up for the Modern Mortgage Summit 365-day pass, just go to modernmortgagesummit.com, click buy 1-year pass. Michelle and Ryan, you guys will both get a free pass. You too, Dan. We are giving a free pass to all the speakers at the event. And so we really want that to be a tool throughout the year, where as you're fine tuning as a leader, you're watching videos together as a team. We think like that's a great way to consume. Sometimes you're consuming on your own. Sometimes you're consuming as a branch or a group or a region or a company. However you want to do it. So we want to make sure you do that. Ryan, Grant, let's give each one of you a thought. First of all, what do you think about that idea of using the Modern Mortgage Summit year round, and any closing thoughts for you?
I think it's phenomenal. It's a great gift. You guys doing that is huge, because not only would that be hard to digest in 30 days, but it'd still be hard to digest in a year, right? Like, you could be implementing those things for the rest of your career and have a huge runway to accomplish those things. So I think it's really important. And I think everyone on this call is listening, everyone who will be listening to this call, just always strive to be better, right? Differentiate yourself from the competition, make sure that you take all these notes. And I think that, all these ideas aren't new. It's just some people implement them and some people don't. And so have an implementation strategy. Make sure you have time for your big rocks that you want to do. The sand and the pebbles can fall in around it. So that's the key difference between the people who run really great businesses and the people who struggle, is who can implement what they learn and really focus on what's going to be important long term.
Yeah, good reminder. Michelle Castle, what do you think about the Modern Mortgage Summit as a year-round training tool, and what are your closing thoughts?
So this really, I love this time of year, because it gives me a whole year of data to really look back and not just look at the numbers, but really look at the processes. Do I have chaos in any part of the business? If I do, then there's a system that needs to be created to minimize the chaos. If there is I love looking to see who I did business with and how it makes me feel when I see that person's name. And do I want to build my business plan and my strategies next year around this list of people? And what part of my business did I thoroughly enjoy and I want to do more of next year? And what part of my business, whenever I really look back, really makes me even cringe? Those are the things that I don't want to do next year. And so, whenever you're really looking back at your business and you're really reflecting on how you feel about your business and what those numbers look like, then it's also a good opportunity to figure out, okay, what are my new 3 pillars of business? What do I want to work on? What do I want to prove and how am I going to improve them? And figure out who you're putting on that bus with you for next year. And so whenever I think about all of the materials that are available now through the annual pass, whenever you're looking at that list of how you want to do business in 2021, look and see who presented and talked about those things and put that on that list. Todd, I love what you guys have put together, because you can put a list of all of the videos you want to go back to and listen to, but you need to pick that 1 or 2 that's relevant to the pillar of business that you're working on this quarter. And I love to break my what I want to accomplish down into 12-week segments and focus on one thing every 12 weeks and get really, really good at that one thing before I move to the next. And so you could use all of those videos, all of the content that's available, and find what is relevant to the pillar of business that you really want to focus on for the next 12 weeks and listen to it over and over and over and over and over, and listen to every bit of content that you can get your hands on that is centered around that same topic or that same pillar of business, so that you're just immersed in it. Again, so you don't have an empty water bottle, just keep filling that water bottle up so that it stays full and you don't crush under pressure. A lot of us at the beginning of COVID this year crushed under pressure until we decided to fill that water bottle back up with what was necessary for us not to continue to crush under pressure for 2020. So those are my closing thoughts. I hope that's helpful for everybody.
That was, and guys, I was just showing while Michelle was talking, every single session and a few extras. There's some bonus material is here, and it's all organized around the who was the leader, and what did they talk about. And like this one on Josh Metal, he talked about text video, and he talked about how he's using text video in the process. So check it out. Dan Keller, what are your thoughts on Modern Mortgage Summit year round, 365, and closing thoughts for the day?
Yeah, I think it's big. I think the thing I love most about it is that you guys have structured it in 10, 15 minute or less chunks. So pick a topic, and whether you're a branch manager or you're a loan officer, grab one a week, one every other week, one a month, and just learn and teach it and implement it. I think Todd just said the key is implementation. So I absolutely love it. I think I'm excited to jump in. There's so many great lessons on that in that conference. So you guys absolutely crushed it there.
Well, bro, you crushed it, man. First of all, everyone who is on this call, thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. Todd Bookspan, I'll let you close it out, dude. And any final thoughts from you?
Well, I love that you were scrolling through all the videos. I counted it up, 64 videos in there for people to listen and learn from. And, I just think it's, I'm so grateful for you guys as well. And, everyone who was a big part of that. The feedback that we've gotten has been incredible. Dave and I were talking about if we could get a net promoter score of 8 or above, that would be considered, great. And it's right now 9.4 after, almost 200 people completing it, which is huge. It's a testament to the quality of what's in there. So, Dan just said it, right? It's implementation. It's great if you're sitting here, but it's not great if you're not executing on what you're learning, whether you're trying to go from, 10 million to 20 million, or from 20 million to 25 million, whatever that number is that you're shooting for. The content's here. It's in this community. This community's for you. It's about you. Be part of it, contribute, and, most importantly, execute. So grateful as always, Dave, for being your wingman, and for everyone for this call. I thought it was another great opportunity for people to sharpen themselves heading into 2021.
Well, thank you, brother. So community, we will continue to have this conversation, how to evaluate yourself as a modern originator. So stay tuned for more content coming, more clarity coming, and then how to train, and we will be doing the training. We want to be your coach, your mentor throughout 2021 to help you be the best you. Whatever your business goal is, whatever your professional goals are, we do, if you listen to all the training we do, you got to combine personal and professional goals to have a sustainable growth and career. But we're going to focus on helping you be a modern mortgage originator. This is the source. If you want to be modern, you want to crush it, whatever your goal is, you want to hit it, tune in to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, tune in to our Tuesday and Friday calls. And remember, we have live training every day of the week. Every day of the week at Mortgage Coach, one of our success managers or me is doing live training in a group venue. I'm not going to go ahead and list all that out right now, but we eat our own dog food. We believe in training. We believe in always getting better. So take care, y'all. Have a great weekend. And thanks everybody for your time.
Good seeing y'all.